Orange on the kid, orange on the west, orange on the man. Man, I look it like the west, man, I sound like the west, man, I talk in the west, man, I go like the man, I talk it like the man, I talk it like the boss, man, I look in when you look, man, I look it like my chain, man, I talk like my chain, man, I look it like my wife, man, I look it like my son, man, I talk it like my son. Walk it like my girl, man, I go when you talk, man, I go like the girl, man, I look it like my girl, man, I sound like my girl, man, I fine like my girl, I talk it like my girl, I go when you go, man, I love it, my girl, man, I talk it like the man, I go in the man, I talk it like the girl, man, I look it like a god, man, I sound like the god, man, I look it like the people, man, I look it like the sun, man, I go in the sun, I go in the moon, man, I strong like the moon, man, I go like the sun, man, I strong like the sun, I talk it like the people, man, I talk it like the girls, man, I look it like the girls, man, I go like the girls, man, I talk it like the girls, I talk it when they go, man, I look it like a girl, man, I sound like a girl, man, I walk it like a girl, man, I sound like a girl, man, I think like a girl, man, I find like a girl, I find like the man, I go like the man, I look it like the man, I strong like the man, I walk it like the man, I talk it like the man, I talk it when you talk, man, I look it like the kid, man, I sound like the kid, man, I go in the kid, man, I find the kid, man, I walk it like the kid, man, I play in the kid. Talking like the kid, and talking when you talk, man, and loving when you see, man, and loving when you take, man, I take it like the boss, man, I take it like the king, man, I look it like the kid, man, I fine like the kid, man, I small like the kid, man, I big like the kid. I talk it like the kid, I talk it like the girl, man, I look it like the girl, man, I sound like the girl, man, I big like the girl, man, I small like the girl, man, I think like the girl, man, I think it like the man, I strong like the man, I go like the man, I have it like the man, I talk it like the man, I control in the man, I look it like the man, I talk like the man, I find like the man, they always on the boss, man, they always on the king, they always on the north, man, they always on the south, man, I look in the south, I talking when you talk, they love it like the east, man, they love it like the west, man, I talking in the west, man, I talking in the west, man, I go like the west, man, I talking like the ball, man, I look it like the ball, man, I find like the ball, I talking like the ball, I look in the ball, man, I talking when you hate, man, I hate it when you talk, man, I hate it when you grab, man, I grab when you see, man, I grab like the man, I talking like the man, I go in the man, I always on the moon, man, I always on the king, man, I always on the sun, man, I always on the ice, always on the gold, man, I look in the gold, looking when you look, man, I talk when you talk, man, I heaven when you have, man, I looking when you look, man, I look in the boss, man, I look in the king, I looking like the west, man, I talking like the west, man, I go in the west, I talking when you talk, man, I always on the boss, man, I always on the king, man, I always on the man, I always on the girl, man, I looking like the girl, I find like the girl, man, I find like the wife, man, I looking like my wife, man, I strong like my wife, man, I strong like the girl, man, I looking like my girl, man, I strong like my girl, I strong like the man, I go like the man, I think like the man, I salute in the man, I looking when you talk, man, I looking like the girl, man, I talking like the man, I looking like the girl, man, I talking like the wife, man, I looking like the wife, I strong like the man, I talking in the man, I talking when you hate, man, I hate it when you saw, man, I hate it like the dog, man, I looking like the dog, man, I fall like the dog, man, I talking like the dog, I walk it when you walk, I looking like the cat, man, I looking like the snake, man, I sound like the snake, man, I go in the snake, they talking like the moon, man, I big in the moon, man, I heavy in the moon, man, I talking like the light, man, I go in the light, man, I always on the boss, man, I always on the king, man, I always on the north, man, I always on the south, I talking when you talk, I love it when you love, man, I hate when you hate, man, I looking when you look, man, I sound when you go, man, I sound in the king, man, I sound like the north, man, I sound like the south, I always on the moon, man, I always on the king, man, I always on the heaven, man, I always on the sun, man, I look in the sun, man, I look like the sun, man, I talking like the sun, I go like the sun, man, I looking like the sun, man, I have like the sun, I heaven like the sun, I talking when you hate, man, I hate in the boss, man, I hate in the king, hate it like the north.